Hi, I'm Bill from CJ Pony Parts. If you own a Fox Body Mustang, there's plenty of options for upgrading your exterior lighting, but up until now, there's been very few for the interior. We recently installed Scott Drake's LED interior light kit on our 93 Mustang LX. We're so happy with it, today we're going to upgrade our gauge cluster using their LED gauge light kit. The LED gauge kit includes all the bulbs necessary for your 79 through 93 gauge cluster. It includes bulbs for the gauges themselves, available in white, blue, green, or red backlight. Also includes bulbs for your warning lights, your high beam indicator, as well as your turn signals. For this installation, you need a Phillips head screwdriver, small flathead screwdriver, 1/4 inch ratchet, 8mm socket, right angle driver, and a T20 Torx bit. To install the bulbs, obviously we got to remove the cluster. We're going to start by removing our steering column trim, then our lower trim panels, and then finally the gauge cluster housing. The column trim is held on by 2 screws. This part here will be held in by 3 bolts. Pop that off. Now I'll remove the metal plate. It's bolt located here, another one over on this side. There's a support brace attached to the column trim. It has 1 Phillips head screw located right here. Now remove the top 2 screws that hold the housing to the dash. Before we can pull off the cluster trim, we got to remove the switches. Using a small screwdriver, let's go behind the back and pop them out. Now we can remove the housing. Now we're going to remove the cluster from the car by removing these 4 screws around the outside edge here. Make sure you remove the screws that are on the white tabs. The other screws hold the bezel and the lens together. I'm going to reach behind it and disconnect the plugs and the speedometer. To remove our cluster. Once you have your cluster out, if you look carefully on the back of the circuit board, each bulb is labeled for what it is. We're going to start with the illumination bulbs, which are located here, here, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the end. Each one of them has ILL written right next to it. Simply turn it to remove it. Remove the old bulb, install one of our new LED bulbs, and reinstall. Modern bulbs are going to be polarized. What that means, if you install it and it does not work, you got to remove it, flip it 180 degrees, and reinstall it. There's 2 ways you can test your board. You can install all the bulbs, plug it back in the car, and see which ones work. Another way is to take test leads hooked up to a 12-volt battery, figure out which terminal is ground, then put it on the corresponding ground on the circuit board. We figured out that this terminal here is going to be ground. If we look at our circuit board on this side of where it says illumination, if you follow the board up, you'll see it says GND for ground. That's the grounded side. So if we install that on that side, it should work. Next, we'll replace our check engine, low oil, and low coolant lights. Next, we'll replace the 2 turn signals as well as our high beam indicator. We're ready to reinstall on our Mustang. I'll reinstall the cluster. Before we put it all back together, we're going to plug in our headlight switch. We're going to see if everything works. I'm going to make sure you reconnect your speedometer. Now that we tested everything and plugged the speedometer in, we can reassemble our cluster. Put the housing back on next. Make sure you fish the harnesses up through for the switches. Now put the lower screw in. Your installation's finished. Our LED cluster lights made our 20-year-old cluster look better than new. Installation should take you only around an hour. You'll be back on the road in no time.